Hey everyone. Tonight we were traveling back to the frozen edges of the American frontier to a world where winter pressed hard against thin cabin walls and silence stretched farther than the eye could see. Imagine it, the endless white of the prairie beneath a pale, watching moon. The snow glows faintly, reflecting the dim orange light that leaks through cracks in rough-hewn wood. Inside, a family huddles close to the stove, the only heartbeat in a land asleep beneath ice. The air smells of pine smoke and iron. Breath rises in small clouds, shimmering before it fades. The wind claws at the door like a living thing. Out there, nothing moves, not even the trees. Just the creak of timbers and the whisper of frost settling deeper into the night. A single lantern flickers beside a pile of patchwork quilt, its flame bending with each draft. They sleep in layers, coats, blankets, sometimes straw beneath them to trap the heat. Every ember is counted, every log a small victory. Sometimes the fire dies before dawn, and they wake to find their breath frozen on the inside of the window, like white lace. These were people who didn't fear the wild, they lived inside it. Their nights were long, cold, and filled with quiet endurance. To sleep was not rest, but survival. To wake meant the stove had held, the roof had not collapsed, and life had managed once again to continue. And yet, within that frozen silence, there was peace, a deep stillness that modern life rarely knows. The crackle of fire, the sigh of wind, the rhythmic breathing of those who made it through another night. So, before you settle in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy these quiet journeys through time and memory. And tell me, where are you listening from tonight? Maybe somewhere nearby the winter wind still hums against your window, the same way it once did here. Now close your eyes. Hear the soft groan of timber, the faint hiss of a stove, the slow drift of snow outside your walls. Let's begin the story of how people slept during brutal winters in the Wild West. Under the endless sky, the cabin in the snow. A subtle shifting of the worn quilt disturbed your shallow sleep. A low, insistent moan, not of pain, but of protest, filtered through the rough-hewn log walls. It was the wind, a relentless, unseen hand clawing at the cabin door, seeking entry, probing every chink and crack in the crude timber. You lay still for a moment, listening, the sound a constant, mournful presence, a primal lullaby from the vast, snow-dusted plains. The cold, a familiar companion through the long winter night, had crept across the window pane like white lace, a delicate filigree of frost that obscured the world outside, transforming the glass into an opaque shield against the lethal chill. Your body, stiff and protesting against the rough straw mattress, yearned for the elusive warmth that sleep had briefly promised. The thin layer of husks and dried prairie grass offered scant comfort against the creak of wooden floors under cold boots, the hard reality of the cabin floor. Every joint ached, a protest from muscles perpetually strained by the unending tasks of frontier survival, hauling wood, breaking ice, tending meager livestock. The subtle gnawing of hunger, a constant underlying thrum in your belly, served as a stark reminder of the precious fuel your body perpetually craved, even in repose. Inside the cabin, the air hung heavy and still, thick with the earthy scent of pine logs, stale wood smoke from the banked stove, and the subtle tang of human presence. This was the intimate perfume of home, however humble, however cold, a fragile bastion against the immense, hostile world outside. The darkness within was profound, broken only by the faint, persistent glow of embers deep within the cast-iron stove, a single, defiant eye of warmth against the encompassing gloom. Its low, rhythmic clicks and sighs as coals shifted within were the only other sound. Beyond the frosted window, past the straining door, the prairie stretched endlessly, a vast, featureless expanse of pristine white. The snow, falling relentlessly for days, had buried the world in a profound, almost oppressive silence. No sound of distant wagons, no cheerful shouts of neighbors from other isolated homesteads, no familiar clamor of human life. Only the wind, a ceaseless, mournful presence, sweeping across the tundra, shaping the drifts into soft, undulating waves, an ocean of white under an immense, indifferent sky, its low hum the only voice to challenge the dark. Your breath, plumed white, a visible cloud that lingered for a moment before dissolving into the frigid air, mingling with the last wisps of smoke from the stovepipe. It was a tangible affirmation of life, however fragile, however cold, a constant physical reminder of the fight your body waged to maintain its precious internal heat. The frost on the windowpane, intricate and beautiful, yet spoke of a cold that could kill with terrifying swiftness, a relentless enemy that probed every weakness. From the corners of the cabin, where the thin chinking between logs offered imperfect resistance, the cold seeped inwards. It clung to the rough timbered walls, to the worn wooden table, to the few sparse possessions hanging from pegs. This was a cold that bit deep, penetrating through layers of worn wool and patched hides, settling into your very bones, making every movement a conscious act of will, every muscle protest. The children, nestled deep in their rough blankets on their shared pallet, stirred restlessly, their small forms shivering occasionally. You reached out, pulling a worn buffalo hide tighter around them, cherishing their fragile warmth, their soft breathing, a profound connection in the immense loneliness of the frontier night. Their innocent faces, illuminated by the faint glow of the stove, seemed to reflect the quiet pride of a family enduring. The sun, a distant, unseen promise, was still hours from its ascent. The moon, if it shone through the clouds, would cast a pale silver glow over the snow-covered plains, illuminating a world transformed into a landscape of stark, silent beauty. But within the cabin, by the faint glow of the stove, the fight for warmth, for sustenance, for survival, continued its ceaseless vigil. A new day, another trial. You woke not to the promise of ease, but to the call of duty, the whisper of the wind, and the relentless creep of the cold. The frozen breath on the pane was a daily reminder that this winter was long, and survival a hard-won victory. The blanket of the plains, beyond the relentless clawing wind at the cabin door, a more intimate, persistent struggle against the brutal winter unfolded within. In the vast open expanse of the Wild West, where the cold was an unyielding adversary, the most essential defense against freezing to death often came in a humble, hand-stitched form. This was the blanket of the plains, a single quilt stuffed with whatever scraps of cloth could be spared. Warmth woven from poverty and hope, a vital, meticulously crafted shield against the night's lethal embrace, embodying the quiet, enduring spirit of frontier survival. Imagine running your rough, chapped hands over the worn fabric, a patchwork quilt pieced together from countless different remnants. Its familiar weight settled heavy against your tired body, a tangible barrier between shivering flesh and the pervasive chill that seeped from the wooden floorboards. The quilt, a testament to countless hours of careful stitching by weary hands, absorbed the lingering wood smoke from the stove, carrying its subtle, comforting aroma into the folds of your sleep, a silent lullaby against the cold. This indispensable covering was a creation born of absolute necessity, a far cry from any soft, down-filled comforter. The vast, unyielding cold of the prairie winter, often plunging to lethal extremes, demanded every available material be pressed into service. To defy this, every scrap of fabric, every available fibre was treasured, meticulously repurposed. The materials for such a quilt were precious, painstakingly salvaged from a life defined by scarcity. Scraps of worn-out dresses, faded shirts, remnants of flour sacks, even pieces of old animal hides too small for a full robe. All were carefully cut, pieced together, and sewn with relentless dedication. Each patch on the quilt told a silent story of a previous garment, a discarded item now given new, vital purpose. Its worn texture, a testament to generations of hard living. The stuffing, the very heart of the quilt's warmth, was equally humble. Whatever could be gathered from the harsh environment, dried prairie grasses, corn husks from the last harvest, wool shearings from a few precious sheep, or simply shredded rags, packed tightly between the fabric layers to trap precious air. This intricate construction, the multiple layers of humble materials, and the countless stitches that bound it all together created a remarkably effective insulating barrier. It meticulously trapped body heat, preventing its escape into the frigid air, a personal furnace against the insidious cold that constantly probed for weakness. Warmth woven from poverty and hope. This quilt was a masterpiece of frugal ingenuity, born not of abundance, but of the desperate need to survive. It represented a profound, unspoken hope, the hope that it would be enough, that it would see another night, another winter. It embodied the love and labor of hands that had pieced it together, transforming scarcity into a fragile yet potent shield against the cold. When you pulled it tight around your chin, you felt not just its physical warmth, but the invisible warmth of human resilience, of shared effort, of unwavering determination. Sometimes the quilt was shared, its generous size stretched over an entire family huddled together in a single bed, its patchwork embrace encompassing multiple bodies. Their combined warmth, their shared breath, became a defiant assertion against the cold, a profound connection in the immense loneliness of the frontier night. The sounds of shifting bodies, the soft rustle of the stuffing, the quiet murmurs of restless sleep. These were the intimate rhythms of communal survival, muffled by the quilt's heavy, comforting embrace. Beyond the cabin's frost-laced windows, the wind's low hum carried the chilling promise of more snow, more cold. But beneath the patchwork of repurposed fabrics, a fragile warmth persisted, a tiny, defiant spark against the vast, indifferent darkness of the prairie night. This quilt, a humble yet mighty creation, became a testament to enduring life. Its story, stitched into its very fabric, whispered of those who refused to freeze. The blanket of the plains was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious hand-stitched layer at a time. The sound of the stove. Within the crude log cabin, where the pervasive cold bit at rough-timbered walls and frost still crept across window panes, a deep, rhythmic sigh permeated the stillness. This was the voice of the cast-iron stove, its heavy metal glowing faintly, a palpable presence that defied the lethal cold of the Wild West winter. Iron clicks and sighs as coals shift within. Every ember is precious. More than just a source of heat, it was a loyal companion against the cold outside, transforming a utilitarian object into a profound symbol of life, warmth, and enduring human resilience. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of burning pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by the dry, sharp scent of heating metal. The sounds of the prairie wind, its mournful lullaby, were muffled by the cabin walls, allowing the subtle emanations from the stove to dominate. A rhythmic click and sigh, a soft murmur of internal combustion, became the soundtrack of existence. The cast-iron stove, a formidable object of metal and heat, stood as the undisputed heart of the frontier home. It represented a pivotal piece of technology for survival in extreme cold. Unlike an open hearth, it contained the fire, radiating heat more efficiently and consistently, consuming fuel more slowly, and minimizing the release of smoke directly into the living space, though some smoke always escaped. Its very construction, heavy and robust, spoke of permanence and unwavering strength against the elements. Listen to the rhythmic click and sigh as coals shift within the iron stove, a constant, comforting symphony against the profound silence of the frozen night. Hear the subtle groan of the metal as it expanded and contracted with the intense heat, a living, breathing entity battling the cold that relentlessly probed its exterior. See the small circular grate, its bars glowing a deep, tenacious red, illuminating the dim interior of the cabin with a pulsating orange light, a fragile sun in a world of gloom. Every ember is precious, a companion more loyal than the cold outside. Fuel, whether painstakingly chopped wood, carefully dried buffalo chips, or gathered peat, was a constant, scarce commodity in winter. The firekeeper, often an elder or a vigilant adult, would meticulously tend the stove throughout the night, adding small pieces of fuel sparingly, raking the coals, ensuring that the precious embers never died. Each glowing coal was a tiny spark of life, a physical manifestation of their continuous battle against hypothermia, a literal heartbeat of warmth against extinction. The warmth radiated from the stove was immense, powerful, pushing back the biting cold that seeped from the wooden walls. Hands, numb from exposure, would be held out to its comforting heat, slowly thawing, watching the blood remember its rhythm. Bodies, stiff and shivering, visibly relaxed as they absorbed its radiant energy, allowing exhausted muscles a chance to recover. This was a profound, visceral comfort, a slow thawing of the night's deep chill, a lifeline in a season built for death. The psychological impact was immense. The stove was a constant, visible symbol of hope, a tangible anchor against the overwhelming forces of nature. Its steady heat, its consistent presence, provided a profound sense of security in a world defined by danger and uncertainty. It was a silent guardian, a source of unwavering warmth in a land that offered none, its rhythmic sounds a continuous promise of another morning. Its story, whispered in every click and sigh, spoke of human tenacity. The sound of the stove was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one rhythmic click, one precious ember at a time. The wind's lullaby beyond the fragile shelter of the log cabin, where the stove's rhythmic sighs offered a tenacious warmth. The vast snow-dusted plains of the Wild West stretched into an immense, terrifying void. Here, under the endless sky, the dominant voice of winter was ceaseless, pervasive, and profoundly unsettling. The wind's lullaby was a constant, mournful presence. The prairie sings in long, low tones, shaking shutters and stirring dreams of warmer days, transforming an elemental force into a haunting symphony of isolation and yearning, shaping the very fabric of frontier nights and deepening the pervasive quiet of human endurance. Imagine the air outside the cabin, utterly frigid, sharp and brutal, thick with the biting force of snow and ice, mingled with the faint aroma of wood smoke. The sounds of the cabin, the gentle clicks of the stove, were muted, allowing the greater voice of the prairie to dominate. A relentless, violent roar, a ceaseless banshee's wail, seemed to encompass the entire world, pressing against the cabin door, testing every chink and crack in the crude timber. Lantern light on frosted windows trembled, mirroring the cabin's subtle shudder. The prairie wind was a force of immense, untamed power. Unbroken by mountains or dense forests, it swept across the vast, flat expanse with terrifying ferocity, carrying fine, dry snow into blinding eddies, tearing at any exposed surface. It was a constant, relentless adversary, capable of stripping warmth from the body with terrifying efficiency and testing the very foundations of any human dwelling. Its relentless assault shaped the landscape, carving drifts, polishing ice, and sculpting the very snow. Listen to the relentless, deafening roar of the wind, screaming through the gaps in the cabin logs, a mournful wail that seemed to carry the echoes of the desolate plains. Hear its furious force, shaking shutters with a violent rattle, probing cracks in the window panes, seeking entry. See the faint, flickering light from the lantern inside tremble, mirroring the cabin's subtle shudder under the wind's immense, unseen pressure. The frost on the window pane, intricate and beautiful, offered a fragile shield against its direct assault. The prairie sings in long, low tones, shaking shutters and stirring dreams of warmer days. The wind's howling, though terrifying, took on a peculiar, almost hypnotic rhythm in the profound darkness of the night. It was a long, low lament, a ceaseless, mournful song that permeated the very fabric of the cabin, seeping into the consciousness of those within. It became the inescapable soundtrack of their winter existence, a relentless reminder of nature's immense, indifferent power, a constant, chilling lullaby. This incessant sound, this constant battle against the wind, stirred dreams of warmer days. Exhausted settlers, huddled beneath their worn wool blankets, their bodies aching from the cold, would yearn for the gentle warmth of spring, for the soft rustle of green grass, for the cheerful sounds of summer. These dreams, vivid and tantalizing, offered a fleeting psychological escape from the relentless auditory assault, a poignant yearning for a forgotten comfort, a desperate hope against the pervasive despair. The psychological impact was immense. The wind's ceaseless howl amplified every fear of unseen dangers lurking in the snowdrifts, of being cut off from help, of the cabin's fragile structure eventually succumbing to the storm. It instilled a profound sense of isolation, of being a tiny, fragile spark of life against an overwhelming, hostile void. Yet to endure its song was to truly experience the Wild West winter, to forge an unyielding connection to its untamed heart. Its story, sung through every creek and wail, spoke of endless endurance. The wind's lullaby was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, its mournful song a constant chilling reminder of the vast, indifferent power of the endless sky. The Lonely Lantern. As the ferocious wind's mournful lullaby swept across the snow-dusted plains, and the cabin groaned under its relentless assault, the sun vanished, plunging the Wild West winter into absolute, terrifying darkness. In this profound void, where distant stars glittered with indifferent cold, humanity's only defiance, its fragile beacon, was a single, precious source of light. The Lonely Lantern stood as a powerful, poignant symbol. Its glow is small but steady, a golden heartbeat in a land of snow and silence, transforming a fragile flame into a profound psychological anchor, a testament to enduring hope and the unyielding will to challenge the overwhelming gloom. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by the warm, earthy scent of burning oil. The sounds of the prairie, its mournful lullaby, were muffled by the cabin walls, allowing the subtle hiss and flicker of the lantern's flame to dominate. A gentle click of the stove, a soft murmur of quiet conversation, all contained within its precious circle of light. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow, cast dancing shadows that seemed to sway with the cabin's subtle shudder. The lantern, typically a simple device of tin or glass, housing a wick submerged in animal fat or kerosene when available, was a precious commodity on the frontier. Its fuel was carefully rationed, its flame meticulously guarded, for its light was invaluable. In a world devoid of artificial illumination, this small portable sun provided a crucial psychological bulwark against the terrifying darkness. Its very presence was a defiant assertion of human will against the overwhelming power of the night. Listen to the soft hiss and flicker of the lantern's flame, a constant, gentle sound that punctuated the silence, its tiny light casting long, dancing shadows on the rough, timbered walls. Hear the low murmur of quiet conversation, the occasional sigh, the soft rustle of blankets, all contained within the small circle of its glow. See the faces of your family illuminated by its warm, golden light, their expressions softened by the fleeting comfort it provided, their eyes reflecting its fragile gleam. Its glow is small but steady, a golden heartbeat in a land of snow and silence. The lantern's light, though modest, was a powerful, symbolic presence. It pushed back the encroaching darkness, creating a fragile circle of safety within the cabin. It illuminated familiar objects, reassuring the mind against the terrifying unknown that lurked in every shadow beyond the reach of its golden aura. Its steady, unwavering flame became a golden heartbeat, a rhythmic pulse of enduring human presence in a vast, cold, and silent land, a silent defiance against oblivion. The psychological impact was immense. The darkness outside was absolute, profound, and terrifying. It concealed not just the frozen plains, but also potential dangers, wild animals, unseen threats, the profound loneliness of isolation. The lantern's glow, however small, defied this terror, providing a focal point, a visible anchor in a world that offered none. It fostered hope. The hope that the flame would endure, that the fuel would not run out, that another dawn would eventually come, bringing with it renewed light and warmth. Its story, flickering in every dance of light, whispered of hope. The lonely lantern was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, its small golden light a profound symbol of unwavering hope under the endless silver moon. The Art of Staying Warm, the Firekeeper, S-Watch. As the Wild West winter night deepened, swallowing the cabin in profound darkness and bringing the biting cold to its lethal peak, the survival of the entire family hinged on a single, flickering source of warmth. The firekeeper's watch was a relentless, essential duty. Someone must stay awake to feed the flames. In the dark, time passes like smoke, slow, uncertain, and fragile, transforming a solitary, arduous task into the critical shield that protected the fragile sleep of the family, a testament to unyielding vigilance and the profound courage required to defy the frozen frontier. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence. now permeated by a deepening chill that clung to every surface. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the soft hiss of dwindling coals, the anxious whispers of the firekeeper, and the profound, almost eerie silence of a stove fighting for life. Worn wool blankets by a smoky hearth, gently illuminated by the stove's red glow, highlighted the silent vigil, a tiny circle of warmth against the vast, encompassing gloom. The cast-iron stove, its heavy frame radiating precious heat from its well-banked coals, was the undisputed heart of the frontier home. But its fire, if left untended, would inevitably die, plunging the dwelling into lethal cold and absolute darkness. Fuel, chopped wood, dried buffalo chips, or gathered peat was a constant, scarce commodity in winter. Its meticulous management was a matter of life and death, an unending chore in a season built for death. Listen to the soft hiss of dwindling coals, a barely audible sound signaling the fire's precarious state. Hear the anxious whispers of the firekeeper, their voice low and strained with fatigue, muttering encouragement to the dying embers. See their figure hunched close to the stove, wrapped in thick furs and worn coats, their eyes burning with fatigue, yet fixed on the precious glowing heart within the iron. The red glow from the stove, pulsating gently, cast long, dancing shadows on the rough, timbered walls. Someone must stay awake to feed the flames. The firekeeper, often an elder, or a particularly vigilant adult, bore an immense, terrifying responsibility. Their duty was paramount, to carefully manage the dwindling fuel, to ensure that the precious coals did not die entirely, to nurture the fragile spark through the longest, coldest hours of the night. This was not a passive role, but an active, ceaseless vigil, the most crucial battle against the night's lethal embrace. In the dark, time passes like smoke, slow, uncertain, and fragile. The profound darkness amplified every fear. The cold was insidious, an enemy that knew no surrender. It permeated the cabin, testing the keepers' endurance, tempting them with the seductive lure of sleep. They would shiver, huddle deeper into their furs, but their gaze remained fixed, unwavering. They understood the profound consequences of failure. The rapid onset of hypothermia for the sleeping family, the heightened danger from predators who feared no dark, the extinguishing of the cabin's very lifeline. The silence outside, broken only by the wind's low moan, pressed in, magnifying their solitude. This vigil was both physically demanding and psychologically taxing. Hours stretched into what felt like an eternity, the passage of time marked only by the slow diminution of the coals and the increasing intensity of the cold. The keeper fought against boredom, against the seductive pull of exhaustion, keeping their mind alert, constantly aware of the profound responsibility they bore. The very act of vigilance became a kind of prayer, a silent plea against the overwhelming darkness. The other members of the family, though sleeping, implicitly trusted the firekeeper. Their rest, however shallow, was dependent on this unwavering vigilance. The soft clicks and sighs of the stove, the subtle sounds of its tending, were reassuring anchors in the terrifying darkness. This shared burden, this silent understanding, underscored the deep bonds of frontier life. Its story, whispered in every quiet moment, spoke of resilience. The firekeeper's watch was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious ember, one vigilant breath at a time. Quilts and coats inside the crude log cabin, where the stove's tenacious glow battled the deep chill, another crucial layer of defense shielded humanity from the lethal grip of the Wild West winter. The art of staying warm depended on ingenious layering. Quilts and coats were their ultimate defense. Buffalo hides, patched wool, and old army coats, a fortress against the night's bite, meticulously combined to create an indispensable mobile shield against the frost, defining the very essence of human warmth and endurance in a world utterly indifferent to exposed flesh. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by the rich, earthy smell of buffalo fur and damp wool. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks of the stove. They included the soft rustle of heavy buffalo robes, the gentle creak of worn wool, and the muffled breathing of a family bundled tight. Worn wool blankets by a smoky hearth, gently illuminated by the stove's red glow, became the soft, warm heart of their fragile sanctuary. The primary materials for warmth were those hard-won from the unforgiving plains, or painstakingly salvaged from distant military campaigns. Buffalo hides, thick and immensely insulating, were often the most prized possession. These were meticulously scraped, tanned and cured, then used as bedding, ground covers, or outer cloaks. Their dense, shaggy fur provided unparalleled protection against extreme cold and wind. Listen to the soft rustle of heavy buffalo hides as they were layered over straw mattresses, providing a crucial barrier against the cold wooden floor. Hear the gentle creak of worn wool as a patched quilt was pulled tighter, its many layers trapping precious air against the body. See the collection of materials, the thick, shaggy buffalo fur, the dense, matted wool of hand-spun blankets, the faded, coarse fabric of an old army coat, each piece a testament to desperate ingenuity, now transformed into a multi-layered shield. Buffalo hides, patched wool, and old army coats, a fortress against the night's bite. The true genius of frontier survival lay in this layering. Multiple layers of diverse materials created a remarkably effective insulating barrier. Buffalo robes with their dense fur provided superior external protection, acting as a windbreak and first line of defense. Patched wool quilts, often stuffed with whatever fibrous material could be found, dried prairie grasses, corn husks, trapped multiple air pockets close to the body, significantly slowing heat loss. Old army coats, if acquired from abandoned forts or trade, offered a dense, military-grade barrier against wind and cold, their sturdy fabric a testament to previous battles against the elements. These combined layers formed a formidable fortress against the cold's insidious bite. They meticulously trapped precious body heat, preventing its escape into the frigid air, creating a personal furnace against hypothermia. Seams, however crudely stitched with sinew or tough thread, were often reinforced, creating windproof barriers against the relentless drafts that seeped through cabin walls. The comfort was minimal. The coarse wool was often scratchy, the hides stiff, the layers cumbersome. But this was armor, not luxury. Every fiber, every patch, every stitch was vital, a small victory against the relentless cold. The discomfort was a small price to pay for the invaluable warmth it provided, a continuous battle against freezing dead. Its story, woven into every thread, whispered of perseverance. Quilts and coats were a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious layered protection at a time, sleeping by the stove, inside the brutal, unforgiving grip of a Wild West winter, where the cabin's single room was often the only refuge from lethal cold. Maximizing warmth was an absolute imperative. The cast-iron stove, its coals glowing with tenacious heat, became the undisputed heart of the home, drawing all life into its immediate, precious aura. Sleeping by the stove was a fundamental strategy. They slept in shifts, side by side, bodies sharing warmth as much as breath, transforming the most vital piece of furniture into a communal sleeping space, a testament to profound interdependence and the relentless art of staying warm. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a palpable, almost suffocating closeness. The sounds were no longer the distant howl of the wind. They included the soft clicks and sighs of the stove, the gentle breathing of a family huddled close, and the muffled murmur of quiet conversation. Worn wool blankets by a smoky hearth, gently illuminated by the stove's red glow, became the soft, warm heart of their fragile sanctuary, its comfort localized and fiercely guarded. The cast-iron stove, radiating intense heat from its well-banked coals, created a powerful thermal zone in its immediate vicinity. While the rest of the cabin, particularly the corners and furthest walls, remained frigid, the area directly surrounding the stove offered a precious, life-sustaining warmth. This made it the most coveted sleeping spot in the entire dwelling, a lifeline in a season built for death. Listen to the rhythmic clicks and sighs of the stove, a constant comforting symphony against the profound silence of the frozen night. Hear the soft breathing of men, women, and children, their bodies pressed close, creating a dense, living mass around the heat source. See the indistinct forms of the family, bundled in quilts and coats, their faces softened by the stove's red glow, their expressions etched with weariness but also a profound, quiet relief. The pulsating light cast dancing shadows on the rough-timbered walls. They slept in shifts, side by side, bodies sharing warmth as much as breath. The entire family would rotate sleeping by the stove. One adult, often the firekeeper, would tend the stove, ensuring its coals never died, and would take their brief, precious rest in the closest proximity to its radiating heat. Others would then take turns, allowing each person to absorb precious warmth before returning to the colder regions of the cabin or their hammocks, if present. This was a profound act of communal sharing born of absolute necessity. Each human body, burning its own internal furnace from meager rations, contributed its heat to the collective, but the direct warmth of the stove was unequaled. Bodies were pressed close not just for the heat of others, but to maximize exposure to the stove's radiating energy. Their shared breath, visible in the frigid air, mingled with the stove's heat, creating a microclimate of survival, a tiny pocket of defiance against the overwhelming cold. The psychological impact was immense. To have access to this intense, localized warmth, however fleeting, was a profound antidote to the relentless cold. It offered a tangible sense of security, a vital anchor against despair, transforming exhaustion into a fragile, hard-won sleep. The discomforts were secondary, the cramped quarters, the persistent heat on one side of the body while the other remained cold, the constant effort of maintaining the stove. These were small prices to pay for the invaluable warmth it provided. Its story, a quiet hum of survival, spoke of tenacity. Sleeping by the stove was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one shared moment of precious heat at a time. The settler's secret. Inside the brutal, unforgiving grip of a Wild West winter, where cabins were drafty and even the stove's radiating heat struggled to reach every corner, humanity's ingenuity sought innovative, localized solutions for warmth. The settler's secret, a testament to profound practicality, was an ancient technique repurposed for the harsh frontier. Hot stones from the fire, meticulously wrapped in cloth and slipped under blankets. the frontier's ingenious answer to modern comfort, transforming simple rocks into portable furnaces, ensuring a fragile, personal warmth in the profound darkness of endless nights. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a surprising, gentle warmth rising from below the worn wool blankets. The sounds were no longer just the clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the soft rustle of bedding, the gentle breathing of a family huddled close, and the profound, comforting hum of collective life. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow, cast dancing shadows that seemed to sway with the cabin's subtle shudder, illuminating a carefully placed, glowing stone. The cast-iron stove, radiating tenacious heat from its burning coals, was the source of this ingenious warmth. Large, flat stones, readily available from nearby creek beds or collected from the plains, would be meticulously placed within the stove's burning coals or directly on its hot surface, allowing them to absorb intense heat for hours. These were the heating stones, silent, powerful batteries of warmth, destined to provide crucial, localized heat during the longest, coldest hours of the night. Listen to the soft hiss as a heated stone, carefully extracted from the stove with sturdy tongs or a shovel, was swiftly wrapped in multiple layers of thick cloth. Old rags, spare patches of wool, anything to prevent direct skin contact and to slow the release of its precious heat. Hear the gentle grunts of a parent as they carefully slipped these wrapped, hot stones into the foot of a child's bed or beneath their own blankets, a profound act of care. See the small, inconspicuous bulge beneath the bedding, subtly radiating a faint, persistent warmth. Hot stones from the fire, wrapped in cloth and slipped under blankets. The frontier's answer to modern comfort. Once placed, these stones would slowly, consistently radiate their stored heat upwards, creating a localized, gentle warmth that gradually spread through the bedding. This effectively combated the insidious cold that seeped from the wooden floorboards or from any gaps in the blankets, offering a profound difference from lying directly on the frigid surface. It provided a continuous, passive source of heat, supplementing the dwindling stove's glow. The benefits were immense. This method provided crucial internal warmth, battling hypothermia and allowing for deeper, more restorative sleep. It eased aching muscles, soothed cold joints, and offered a profound psychological comfort, a tangible source of heat against the overwhelming frigidity of the frontier night. It was a small, personal luxury, a profound act of care and ingenuity in a world that offered few such indulgences. This technique was a testament to ancient wisdom passed down through countless generations, repurposed and perfected for the unique challenges of the Wild West. The careful selection of stones, their precise heating, the meticulous wrapping, the strategic placement, all were skills honed by desperate necessity, a silent triumph over the elements. Its story, a quiet glow in the deepest dark, spoke of resilience. The settler's secret was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious heated stone at a time. The whiskey cure. Inside the brutal, unforgiving grip of a Wild West winter, where lethal cold permeated every fiber of existence and legitimate warmth was hard won, humanity often sought solace in more immediate, if deceptive, remedies. The whiskey cure was a persistent, dangerous myth, a sip to fight the frost, a myth as old as man. Warmth that burns then fades too quickly, transforming a desperate desire for comfort into a perilous gamble, blurring the lines between solace and self-deception, and often leading to deeper vulnerability in the face of nature's brutal cruelty. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by the sharp, burning smell of raw whiskey. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the low murmur of tired voices, the clink of a glass, and the profound, almost eerie silence that snow itself created outside. Lantern light on frosted windows trembled, illuminating faces etched with weariness and a flicker of desperate hope, their expressions seeking a fleeting reprieve. For centuries, across countless cultures and desperate conditions, alcohol had been mistakenly believed to warm the body in cold weather. In the brutal conditions of the Wild West winter, where legitimate warmth was scarce, difficult to obtain, and hard liquor, whiskey, moonshine, brandy, was often readily available, this myth became a pervasive, dangerous cure for the cold, a comforting lie in a harsh reality. Listen to the low murmur of tired voices discussing the day's hardships, the biting cold, the dwindling fuel, their words infused with a pervasive weariness. Hear the clink of a glass, the gurgle of liquid being poured, the sharp, almost painful intake of breath as a man took a sip. See the faces of men, grimly focused, their eyes distant, seeking a fleeting moment of relief from the pervasive cold, their hands clutching the glass for both its heat and its promise. A sip to fight the frost, a myth as old as man. The immediate sensation was one of intense, internal warmth. As the potent whiskey flowed down the throat, it created a burning sensation, a powerful, internal heat that seemed to banish the cold, however momentarily. This physical sensation, misinterpreted as actual warmth, reinforced the myth, creating a dangerous cycle of reliance, a perilous addiction to a false comfort. Warmth that burns then fades too quickly. The cruel irony was that alcohol, while feeling warm, actually led to a decrease in core body temperature. It caused blood vessels near the skin to dilate, creating a flushed sensation of warmth, but rapidly losing precious internal heat to the frigid air. The initial burning sensation was swiftly followed by an even deeper chill, leaving the drinker more vulnerable to hypothermia and frostbite, often unaware of their escalating peril. The psychological impact was profound. For men enduring relentless cold, pervasive hunger, and profound loneliness, whiskey offered a fleeting escape from their misery. It dulled the pain, numbed the anxieties, and provided a temporary illusion of comfort and camaraderie. But this solace was always short-lived, replaced by a deeper cold, a heavier weariness, and a more profound sense of despair, often exacerbating their already precarious situation. Its story, a burning truth that concealed a deeper lie, spoke of desperation. The whiskey cure was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one burning, fleeting sip at a time. Life in the frozen frontier, the roof that groaned within the crude log cabin where the stove's heat battled the pervasive cold, a constant, gnawing anxiety permeated the uneasy slumber of the frontier family. The roof that groaned was a terrifying, pervasive reality. Snow piled heavy through the night, every creak a question of whether it would hold till morning, transforming a symbol of protection into a source of profound existential fear, a chilling testament to the relentless power of nature and the precariousness of frontier survival. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence. now permeated by a deepening chill. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the low murmur of nervous sleepers, the soft creak of straining timbers, and the rhythmic drip of melting snow from unseen cracks. Lantern light on frosted windows trembled, mirroring the cabin's subtle shudder under immense, unseen weight. The cabin roof, typically constructed from rough-hewn logs or timber planks covered with sod, earth, or a thick layer of thatch, was designed to provide insulation and protection from the elements. But in the vast open plains, winter brought not just cold, but immense, relentless snowfall, often accompanied by fierce winds that piled drifts to astounding depths. This snow, while offering a degree of insulation, also became a formidable, crushing burden. Listen to the low murmur of nervous sleepers, their voices hushed, their eyes wide and fixed on the ceiling, listening intently. Hear the soft creak of straining timbers above, a rhythmic, ominous sound that seemed to emanate from the very heart of the cabin, protesting its immense load. See the rough-hewn log beams of the ceiling, their surfaces dark with smoke, now visibly sagging under the immense, unseen weight, their integrity perpetually in question, their shadows dancing with the lantern light. Snow piled heavy through the night, every creak a question of whether it would hold till morning. The snow, accumulating relentlessly, became an immense, crushing burden. Each new snowfall added to its weight, pressing down on the cabin's fragile structure, testing its very foundations. The ominous creaks and groans from the roof timbers were the terrifying sounds of this immense pressure, a constant reminder that the cabin was under siege, its integrity perpetually threatened, its survival a nightly gamble. The fear of a roof collapse was profound and visceral. Such an event, particularly during a blizzard or in the depths of night, would expose the family to the lethal cold, burying them under snow and debris, a swift, brutal end to their precarious survival. The psychological toll of this constant anxiety, this ceaseless listening for the ominous creak, was immense, eroding any hope of truly restful sleep. The cold of the winter air, the pervasive dampness from melting snow, the profound isolation, these hardships were amplified by the gnawing fear of structural failure. Sleep, already shallow and restless, became even more so, punctuated by every groan of the timbers, every subtle shift of the snow above, every whisper of the wind. Its story, a low, constant moan in the deepest dark, spoke of vulnerability. The roof that groaned was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold. One creaking timber, one night of profound anxiety at a time. The frozen water barrel. As the Wild West winter intensified its lethal grip, pushing cabins to their structural limits and silencing the vast plains, even the most fundamental elements of life became treacherous. Water, as vital as food and warmth, transformed into an unyielding adversary. The frozen water barrel was a grim, pervasive reality. By dawn, even the drinking water was ice. They broke it with an axe before breakfast, transforming a communal lifeline into an arduous, dangerous struggle, intensifying the desperate fight for survival in a land defined by scarcity. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a profound chill. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the rhythmic clang of an axe against ice, the low grunts of exertion, and the hushed murmurs of a family grappling with profound scarcity. Lantern light on frosted windows trembled, illuminating faces etched with weariness and grim determination. The water barrel, typically a large wooden container kept just inside the cabin or in a small sheltered lean-to, was a communal lifeline. It held precious drinking water painstakingly collected from a nearby well, a stream, or melted snow. In warmer months, its contents were taken for granted, a simple, abundant resource. But in the depths of winter, its precious liquid transformed into a formidable barrier, a solid block of ice that defied easy access. Listen to the rhythmic clang of an axe against the solid, unyielding surface of the water barrel's contents, its sharp report echoing through the frigid air. Hear the low grunts of exertion as a man, his breath pluming white in the cold, swung the heavy tool, striking again and again, trying to break through the thick, crystalline barrier. See the wooden barrel, its staves often bulging from the expanding ice, its surface coated in frost, a stark symbol of water turned to stone, its lid a rigid, frozen shield. By dawn, even the drinking water was ice. The freezing temperatures, which often plunged far below zero through the night, would penetrate the barrel, locking its contents solid. The surface would be a thick, opaque sheet of ice, its depths an unyielding block. Accessing drinking water, once a simple act, became an immense, arduous, and often dangerous chore, requiring picks and axes to break through the stubborn, frozen resistance. They broke it with an axe before breakfast. This was a daily, grim ritual, a testament to unyielding will. The strongest member of the family, usually the father, would take an axe, a vital tool for chopping firewood, and set about breaking through the ice. It required immense physical effort, in bitterly cold conditions, at a time when their bodies were already weakened by hunger and lack of sleep. Every swing of the axe was a battle, every chip of ice a small victory. The psychological impact was immense. The frozen water barrel was a constant, visible symbol of winter's brutal power, a chilling reminder that even the most basic element of life could be withheld. It amplified the sense of profound helplessness, deepening the fear of thirst, of the cold reality that even with food, they could still die from lack of water, a terrifying dual threat. The scarcity of water led to rapidly deteriorating hygiene, increasing the risk of illness. Its story, told in every clang of the axe, spoke of essential need. The frozen water barrel was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious, axe-broken drink at a time. The howl beyond the door. The howl beyond the door was a constant, chilling reality. Coyotes circled the dark, their cries threading through dreams like warnings, transforming the wilderness into a realm of active menace, sharpening every fear, and making the fragile sanctuary of the cabin feel profoundly vulnerable to the unseen, untamed forces of nature. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a profound chill. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the soft breathing of a sleeping family, the rhythmic creak of wooden floors, and then, piercing all, the distant, eerie lament of coyotes. Lantern light on frosted windows trembled, casting dancing shadows that seemed to sway with the cabin's subtle shudder, mirroring the anxiety within. The vast, open plains of the Wild West were teeming with predators. Coyotes, wolves, and bears, their hunger sharpened by the brutal winter and the scarcity of prey, grew bolder with the darkness. They were cunning, patient, and relentless, constantly probing the edges of human settlements, drawn by the scent of human presence or the tantalizing possibility of unguarded livestock. The cabin, however stout, was merely a temporary barrier against such ancient, untamed forces. Listen to the low moan of the wind, a ceaseless, mournful presence sweeping across the tundra. Hear the distant, eerie lament of coyotes, a chorus of yips and howls, rising and falling, a chilling symphony that seemed to come from all directions, weaving through the thin walls of the cabin, penetrating the deep quiet of the night. See the vast, dark expanse of the plains outside, its features hidden by the snow and darkness, but its unseen dangers powerfully present, their presence marked by sound. Coyotes circled the dark, their cries threading through dreams like warnings. The howls, though distant, were often close enough to send a shiver down your spine, instantly seizing your heart with a cold dread. For the sleeping occupants of the cabin, these cries could penetrate their shallow slumber, twisting their dreams into vivid, terrifying encounters with the wild. The sounds became premonitions, warnings of unseen threats lurking just beyond the fragile wooden door, amplifying the fear of personal violation. The fear was primal, profound. It was the fear of the wolf pack, of the silent hunter, of the cunning beast that sought to breach their defenses, to claim their meager livestock, or, most terrifyingly, to snatch a vulnerable child. The cabin, however stout, felt fragile against such ancient, untamed forces, its security constantly under threat. Your husband, roused by the howls, would stir, his hand instinctively reaching for his rifle or axe, kept close by the bed. His face, grimly illuminated by the faint glow of the stove, would be a mask of weary vigilance. The shared apprehension, the unspoken understanding of the dangers outside, hung heavy in the air, binding the family in collective fear. Its story, sung in every haunting cry, spoke of relentless menace. The howl beyond the door was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold. Its mournful song a constant, chilling reminder of the vast, untamed power of the plains. The child's bed. Inside the crude log cabin, where the stove's warmth battled the pervasive cold and the howl of coyotes pierced the dark, the tribe's most precious future lay nestled. The child's bed was a profound testament to love and necessity. Small feet tucked close to the coals, a mother's blanket layered with prayers, weaving a protective cocoon of physical warmth, spiritual solace, and fierce, unwavering love against a season built for death, embodying the quiet, enduring strength of frontier mothers. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a palpable, almost suffocating closeness. The sounds were no longer the distant howl of coyotes. They included the soft, rhythmic breathing of a sleeping child, the low murmur of a mother's lullaby, and the gentle creak of wooden floors. Lantern light on frosted windows illuminated faces etched with weariness but softened by profound tenderness. The child's bed, typically a small cot or a pallet of straw and corn husks, was positioned meticulously. It lay as close to the cast iron stove as safely possible, ensuring that the child received the maximum warmth from its radiating heat and the glowing coals. This was the warmest spot in the entire cabin, a deliberate placement to shield the most vulnerable from the lethal cold that permeated all other spaces, a strategic decision born of desperate necessity. Listen to the soft, rhythmic breathing of the sleeping child, its small chest rising and falling, a fragile pulse of life against the immense cold. Hear the gentle murmur of the mother, her voice low and tender, humming a lullaby, a song older than memory, its melody a soothing balm against the vast, dark night. See the child's small, flushed face, its eyes closed in sleep, its tiny body almost completely enveloped by thick layers of worn wool and patched buffalo hide. Small feet tucked close to the coals, a mother's blanket layered with prayers. The child's tiny feet, particularly vulnerable to frostbite, would be carefully positioned as close to the stove's radiant heat as possible, absorbing its precious warmth. The mother's blanket, often a beloved quilt painstakingly stitched from countless scraps of cloth, would be layered over the child, its warmth supplemented by additional hides. Each layer was a physical act of love, a desperate defense against the cold's insidious bite. And each layer was accompanied by unspoken prayers. Prayers for protection against the cold, against hunger, against illness, against the unseen dangers of the night. These were not formal liturgical prayers, but intimate, heartfelt pleas to God, to saints, to benevolent spirits, for the safe passage of her child through the brutal winter. The blanket, therefore, was not just wool, it was layered with prayers, imbued with a mother's fierce, unwavering love, a spiritual cocoon against despair. The psychological impact on the mother was immense. Her vigilance was ceaseless. Her gaze, though weary, would constantly return to the tiny form, checking its breathing, ensuring its warmth. Her love, fierce and primal, was an invisible, yet powerful shield against the encroaching cold and the omnipresent threat of infant mortality, a constant battle fought in the stillness of the night. Its story, a silent testament to fierce protection, spoke of profound love. The child's bed was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding love that guarded the most fragile miracles of life beneath the frost. The whisper of frost. The whisper of frost was a chilling, delicate intrusion. It settled on lashes and lips, turning breath into ghosts that danced in the air, transforming the most private spaces into a battleground against the elements, amplifying the pervasive quiet of human endurance and reminding every soul of winter's unyielding, lethal grip. Imagine the air inside the cabin, utterly frigid, sharp and brutal, stealing your breath, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a profound, almost suffocating stillness. The sounds were no longer the distant howl of coyotes. They included the soft breathing of a sleeping family, the rhythmic creak of wooden floors, and then, piercing all, the almost inaudible shimmer of ice crystals forming. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow cast dancing shadows that seemed to sway with the cabin's subtle shudder, mirroring the anxiety within. Despite thick log walls, tightly shuttered windows, and a struggling stove, the extreme cold of a Wild West winter inevitably penetrated the cabin. The moisture from human and animal breath from any damp clothing condensed on the coldest surfaces, solidifying into a delicate, crystalline layer. This was the quiet, subtle work of winter, constantly probing for weakness, constantly asserting its power. Listen to the soft, rhythmic breathing of your family, their snores, their restless shifts. Hear the faint, almost imperceptible shimmer as ice crystals formed on the coldest surfaces. The glass of the window pane, the exposed timber near a crack, the very lashes of a sleeping child. See the delicate filigree of frost, a beautiful yet terrifying lace, clinging to the inside of the window, obscuring the world outside, reflecting the dim lantern light with a cold, ethereal sparkle. It settled on lashes and lips, turning breath into ghosts that danced in the air. The most intimate manifestations of this frost were on the human body itself. Tiny ice crystals would settle on the eyelashes of sleeping individuals, making them stiff, fragile. On lips parched and chapped by the dry, cold air, a subtle rime of ice would form, adding to the pervasive discomfort. And your breath, when exhaled, would bloom into dense white clouds, visible ghosts that danced in the air, swirling with the smoke from the stove, a constant, tangible affirmation of life, yet also a stark reminder of the lethal cold's pervasive presence. The psychological impact was immense. The whisper of frost was a constant, chilling reminder that even in your own home, even in sleep, you were not truly safe. The cold had found its way in, penetrating the most private spaces, clinging to the very essence of your being. It amplified the sense of vulnerability, deepened the fear of succumbing to hypothermia, of not waking, making every night a profound, internal battle. The cold was insidious. It seeped into your rough woolen clothing, penetrated the thick furs, and clung to your very bones. The constant struggle against its relentless grip, the unending fight to maintain precious body heat, was a profound, exhausting battle, fought in silence, under the watchful gaze of the frost. Its story, told in every glistening crystal, spoke of the endless struggle. The whisper of frost was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious breath, one delicate ice crystal at a time. The cold that changed people. The fever of winter. In the brutal, unforgiving grip of a Wild West winter, where the cold permeated every fibre of existence and hunger gnawed at empty bellies, sickness was not merely a threat. It was an ever-present, terrifying spectre. The fever of winter was a relentless scourge, frostbite and pneumonia, the hidden enemies of every settler AS heart, claiming lives not with bullets or starvation, but with the insidious creep of unseen ailments, transforming a fragile existence into a continuous battle against pain, suffering, and the profound fear of death. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now mingled with the sour smell of sickness and profound weakness. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the insistent, racking coughs, the low moans of fever, the quiet whimpers of pain, and the anxious murmurs of worried family members. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow, illuminated faces etched with profound anxiety and grim determination. The extreme cold, combined with chronic malnutrition, poor sanitation, and the sheer exhaustion of frontier life, created a lethal environment for disease. Immune systems, already weakened, struggled to fight off even minor infections. The crowded conditions within the cabin, where families huddled together for warmth, ensured swift contagion, transforming shared heat into a dangerous incubator. Listen to the incessant, hacking coughs echoing through the cabin, their sound raw and insistent, making breath a painful struggle for a feverish child or a weakened adult. Hear the low moans of feverish bodies tossing restlessly on their straw beds, their skins slick with sweat, yet shivering uncontrollably. See the flushed faces, the dull, unfocused eyes, the small, frail bodies fighting a desperate, silent battle against an invisible enemy, their fragile lives hanging in the balance. Frostbite and pneumonia, the hidden enemies of every settler's heart. Frostbite, insidious and painful, was a constant threat to exposed extremities. Fingers, toes, ears, or nose could turn black, numb, then agonizingly painful, leading to permanent disfigurement or loss, crippling a settler for life. Pneumonia, A severe lung infection often developed from persistent coughs and chills, stealing breath with terrifying speed, particularly from the very young, the very old, and those already weakened by deprivation. The fever itself, a burning inferno within the body, pushed temperatures to dangerous levels, leading to delirium, weakness, and often death. The lack of effective medicine, the absence of trained physicians, and the immense difficulty of seeking help from distant settlements meant that even relatively minor illnesses could quickly become lethal. Each day was a gamble, each night a desperate vigil. The psychological impact was immense. The constant fear of illness, the knowledge that a sudden fever or a persistent cough could swiftly claim a loved one, was a crushing burden. It amplified the sense of profound helplessness, deepening the despair, transforming the fragile sanctuary of the cabin into a crucible of suffering and fear. The bed, far from being a guarantee of safety, often became a place of profound struggle, where life slowly ebbed away. Its story, told in every racking cough, spoke of vulnerability. The fever of winter was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one shivering breath, one agonizing cough at a time. The lost camp, in the brutal, unforgiving grip of a Wild West winter, where the prairie stretched endlessly under a vast, indifferent sky, travel was a perilous gamble against nature's lethal power. For those seeking new lands, for those moving from one meager settlement to another, the threat of being overwhelmed by the elements was ever present. The lost camp was a haunting, pervasive reality. Some didn't make it. Their wagons froze mid-journey, stories buried beneath drifts, transforming dreams of a new life into a profound, chilling tableau of despair, a silent testament to the winter's merciless triumph over human ambition. Imagine the air, utterly frigid, sharp and brutal, stealing your breath, thick with the subtle scent of ice, frozen earth, and the pervasive aroma of human desperation, now mingled with the acrid tang of decaying wood and the subtle scent of death. The sounds were no longer the distant howl of coyotes. They included the mournful creak of frozen wagon wheels, the whisper of icy winds sweeping across the vast plains, and the profound, almost eerie silence of a journey abruptly ended. Snow drifting against shuttered doors here, replaced by drifts burying an abandoned wagon, a monument to shattered dreams. A family, perhaps a small group of settlers, would set out in their covered wagon, hoping to reach a new territory, a warmer climate, or a distant relative. They would depart with hope, with prayers offered for safe passage, with a desperate yearning for a better future. But the vast, open plains of the Wild West winter were an immense, unforgiving adversary. The weather, notoriously fickle, could turn in an instant, trapping the unwary. Listen to the mournful creak of frozen wagon wheels, their wood groaning under the immense weight of snow and ice, protesting their enforced stillness. Hear the whisper of icy winds sweeping across the desolate plains, carrying fine, dry snow, endlessly piling new drifts. See the abandoned wagon, half buried in an immense snowdrift, its canvas cover torn, its wheels locked solid, a grim, silent monument to a journey abruptly ended, its purpose utterly lost. Some didn't make it. Their wagons froze mid-journey. A sudden blizzard, a whiteout that reduced visibility to mere feet, could disorient them, forcing them to halt. Relentless snowfall would quickly bury their wagon, trapping them. The cold, insidious and relentless, would then begin its slow, agonizing work, seeping through thin canvas and worn blankets, chilling to the bone, gradually extinguishing the fragile spark of life. The animals, The oxen, the horses, would succumb first, their bodies simply freezing where they stood, unable to move, unable to find forage. Then, the humans. Weakened by hunger, exhausted by the cold, their bodies would slowly yield to hypothermia, slipping into a final, fatal slumber from which there was no return. The small, isolated camp, once a beacon of hope, became a silent tomb, stories buried beneath drifts. The fate of these lost camps, of these desperate families, would often remain unknown for months, until the spring thaw revealed the grim truth. Their stories, their hopes, their dreams were literally buried beneath the immense, indifferent drifts of snow, swallowed by the vast, silent plains, their very existence erased from the living memory, except as cautionary tales. Its story, buried under endless white, whispered of despair. The lost camp was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier knights forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold. One lost wagon, one buried story at a time. The silence of the plains. The silence of the plains was a chilling, pervasive reality. No birds, no footsteps, only the wind's whisper between frozen blades of grass, transforming a vast, open expanse into an eerily quiet, yet profoundly menacing void, amplifying the pervasive sense of isolation and testing the very limits of human fortitude. Imagine the air outside the cabin, utterly frigid, sharp and brutal, thick with the biting force of snow and ice, mingled with the faint aroma of wood smoke. The sounds of the cabin, the gentle clicks of the stove, were muted, allowing the greater voice of the prairie to dominate. A profound, almost unnatural stillness gripped the land, broken only by the subtlest sounds of nature's struggle. Snow piling against wooden frames, pristine and unbroken, underscored the immense quiet. The vast open plains of the Wild West, usually alive with the sounds of teeming buffalo herds, migrating birds, and the subtle rustle of prairie grass, were now utterly silenced. The deep, relentless snowfall, coupled with sub-zero temperatures, had driven away most animals, killed off many, and muted what remained. The life-giving rhythm of the ecosystem seemed to have paused, awaiting the return of warmth. Listen to the profound, almost oppressive silence that now gripped the land, broken only by the subtle, almost imperceptible whisper of the wind, carrying fine, dry snow across the vast white expanse, a desolate, mournful sound. Hear the muffled crunch of your own boots on the fresh, frozen snow, a solitary declaration against the vast quiet. See the long, undulating waves of snowdrifts stretching to the horizon, unbroken save for the sharp, skeletal forms of frozen blades of grass, swaying almost imperceptibly in the faint breeze. No birds, no footsteps, only the wind's whisper between frozen blades of grass. The absence of birdsong, the lack of animal calls, the utter cessation of human footsteps on the deserted trails. These created a void so profound that it pressed in on the senses, amplifying the smallest internal sounds of the cabin. The click of the stove, the rustle of blankets, the rhythmic thump of your own heart. This profound quietude heightened the sense of profound isolation, of being a tiny, fragile spark of life in an immense, indifferent world. The psychological impact was immense. This silence was both a blessing and a source of profound unease. On one hand, it offered a fleeting moment of peace, a respite from the relentless roar of blizzards. It allowed for deeper introspection, for a momentary relaxation of the vigilant senses, a rare calm in a turbulent life. But the silence of the plains could also be profoundly unsettling. It could hide new dangers, masking the stealthy approach of predators or rival humans, their movements muffled by the deep snow. The very completeness of the quiet could feel unnatural, almost ominous, stirring ancient fears of the unknown, of the hidden presences that thrived in such stillness. The immense, white emptiness outside could induce a profound sense of loneliness, making the cabin feel like a tiny, fragile island in a world swallowed by cold. Its story, told in every quiet gust, spoke of isolation. The silence of the plains was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold. Its profound stillness, a constant, chilling reminder of the vast, untamed power of the plains. The morning fire. After the agonizing eternity of a Wild West winter night, with its crushing darkness, its relentless cold, and its constant, unseen terrors, a deep, primal yearning settled over the weary family. It was a longing for the end of the vigil, for the lifting of the oppressive gloom. And then, at long last, it would come. The morning fire. The spark catches again. Fragile, orange, alive. Another day begins, a profound act of renewal that affirmed not just their ingenuity, but their unwavering will to defy extinction, transforming the deep chill into a tangible promise of warmth, life, and enduring hope. Imagine the air inside the cabin, utterly frigid, thick with the pungent aroma of stale wood smoke, pine logs, and damp earth, mingled with the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by a profound chill that felt sharper than before. The sounds were no longer the distant howl of coyotes. They included the low groan of a restless sleeper, the quiet whimpers of a cold child, and the muffled breathing of a family preparing for the inevitable awakening. The faint echo of survival was about to be rekindled, its whisper carrying the promise of light. You would be roused from a shallow, fitful sleep, perhaps by the cold itself, or by an internal clock, a primal awareness that the turning of the night was at hand. The cabin would still be in near absolute darkness, the coals of the stove having dwindled to their lowest, most precarious point. Your breath, when exhaled, would plume in dense, white clouds, a stark, visible affirmation of the cold that permeated everything. Listen to the low, rhythmic breathing of your family members, their subtle shifts, the occasional cough. Hear the pervasive silence that settled over the cabin in these deepest hours, amplifying every subtle sound, every creak of timber, every rustle of blankets. See the indistinct forms of your family huddled together, a fragile mound of life against the overwhelming cold. The morning frost clinging to eyelashes spoke of the night's last breath. The designated fire tender, or the head of the household, would begin the sacred ritual. With a crude poker or a stick, they would carefully rake back the ash from the stove, seeking the precious, persistent glow of the coals. Their movements were slow, deliberate, infused with profound concentration, their eyes fixed on the task, willing the spark to return. The spark catches again, fragile, orange, alive. And there it would be, a faint, orange ember, a tiny, tenacious spark of life struggling to exist beneath the layers of ash. It was a profound symbol of continuity, a testament to the careful banking of the stove the night before, to the unyielding will to preserve this vital warmth. This single, fragile glow was everything. With painstaking care, the fire tender would add tiny, dry kindling, carefully gathered twigs, pine shavings, or cottonwood fluff. They would blow gently, coaxing the tiny spark, feeding it with the very breath of life. The ember would glow brighter, reddening, then sending a tiny tendril of smoke curling upwards. And then a flicker. A tentative orange flame, small and vulnerable, would lick at the dry kindling, growing slowly, hesitantly. The smell of burning pine, sharp and clean, would begin to permeate the smoky air, pushing back the stale scents of the night, asserting its profound presence. The warmth that emanated from this reborn fire was immediate and profound. Hands, numbed by the cold, would be held out to the flames, absorbing the gentle caress of the heat. Bodies, stiff and shivering, would visibly relax, a collective sigh of profound relief, a silent acknowledgement of life's tenacious victory. Its story, a flickering light against the vast dark, spoke of enduring hope. The morning fire was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious rekindled spark at a time, the strength in stillness, in the brutal, unforgiving grip of a Wild West winter, where the landscape stretched endlessly in a vast, cold silence and life was a constant battle against overwhelming forces. Traditional notions of courage and glory often dissolved. The strength in stillness was a profound, unwritten law. In the Wild West, survival was not noise or glory. It was quiet, patient endurance, transforming passive suffering into an active, conscious act of defiance, shaping their very character and becoming the ultimate testament to human resilience in a world that rewarded only the most tenacious. Imagine the air outside the cabin, utterly frigid, sharp and brutal, thick with the subtle scent of ice, frozen earth, and the pervasive aroma of human determination. The sounds were no longer the simple clicks and sighs of the stove. They included the low murmur of cautious voices, the rhythmic creak of wooden floors, and the profound, almost eerie silence that snow itself created. Lantern light on frosted windows trembled, illuminating faces etched with profound weariness, yet unwavering resolve, their expression softened by an inner peace. The Wild West, with its popular legends of gunfights and daring adventures, often glorified overt action and triumphant displays of strength. But the reality of winter survival was far different. Here, against the immense, indifferent power of nature, such grand gestures were often futile, even deadly. The constant struggle for warmth and food demanded a different kind of heroism, one rooted in quiet fortitude. Listen to the low murmur of cautious voices, their tones hushed, their words carefully chosen as families discussed their dwindling resources, their plans for the next arduous task. Hear the soft clicks and sighs of the stove, its warmth a precious, fragile gift requiring constant, quiet tending. See the faces of the settlers, their expressions stoic, often unreadable, their eyes holding a deep, internal strength that manifested not in shouting or boasting, but in unwavering resolve. In the Wild West, survival was not noise or glory. It was quiet, patient endurance. It was the ability to remain calm amidst terrifying blizzards, to meticulously ration food when hunger gnawed, to silently mend clothes, to tirelessly tend a struggling fire, to withstand immense discomfort without complaint. It was the unwavering refusal to surrender, to simply keep going day after brutal day, week after freezing week, month after interminable month, in the face of relentless adversity. Patience was a supreme virtue, patience to wait out a storm that raged for days, patience to wait for the thaw to free the frozen river, patience to endure the gnawing pangs of hunger, knowing that immediate gratification could jeopardize future survival. It was a slow, deliberate form of resistance against a world that demanded instantaneous death, a profound act of self-control. The physical body, pushed to its limits, found strength in stillness, conserving energy, minimizing movement, enduring discomfort with a quiet fortitude. These were the learned adaptations of those who survived. It was an internal battle, fought in silence, against one's own despair, against one's own body's desperate urge for warmth and comfort, a testament to mental toughness. Its story, told in every quiet moment, spoke of resilience that ran deep. The strength in stillness was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, its profound stillness a constant, chilling reminder of the vast, untamed power of the plains and the enduring strength forged in silence. The dawn over the prairie, the first light on snow. After the agonizing eternity of a Wild West winter night, when the cabin groaned under its burden of snow and the wind sang its mournful lullaby, a profound, almost spiritual shift occurred. The first light on snow was a moment of exquisite, fragile beauty, a herald of enduring hope. The horizon blushes pink as smoke curls upward from lonely chimneys, transforming the vast frozen landscape into a canvas of renewed promise, a testament to unwavering human resilience and the quiet triumph of survival against overwhelming odds. Imagine the air, utterly frigid, sharp and brutal, stealing your breath, thick with the subtle scent of ice, frozen earth, and the pervasive aroma of wood smoke mingled with the fresh, clean tang of new snow. The sounds within the cabin, the soft clicks and sighs of the stove, were muted, giving way to the gentle murmur of sleepy voices and the low groan of stretching limbs. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow, now struggled against the burgeoning light of a new day, revealing a world slowly, tentatively, coming back to life. You would be roused from your shallow, fitful sleep, perhaps by the cold itself, or by an internal clock, a primal awareness that the turning of the night was at hand. The cabin would still be in near absolute darkness, but a subtle warmth, a hint of something new, would brush your cheek. Your breath, when exhaled, would plume in dense white clouds, a stark, visible affirmation of the cold, but now tinged with the promise of light. Listen to the soft crackle of a rekindled stove, its warmth slowly spreading, pushing back the pervasive chill. Hear the low murmur of sleepy voices, your family beginning to stir, their bodies stiff, but their spirits lifting with the promise of light. See the faint, bruised grey begin to paint the eastern sky, a subtle, ethereal blush that slowly, inexorably pushed back the oppressive darkness, a silent, breathtaking spectacle. The horizon blushes pink as smoke curls upward from lonely chimneys. As the first pale rays of the sun began to touch the distant horizon, they would paint the vast, snow-dusted plains in hues of soft pinks, purples, and ethereal golds. Against this breathtaking backdrop, thin, fragile plumes of wood smoke would curl lazily upwards from countless lonely chimneys, rising from scattered cabins across the immense, silent landscape. Each wisp of smoke was a declaration, a physical manifestation of a hearth fire burning below, providing the meager warmth that kept families from freezing to death, a testament to enduring human life. The psychological impact was immense. This first light, this blush on the horizon, was a profound antidote to the despair of the long night. It was a powerful affirmation that the cold, the darkness, the endless struggle might one day truly end. It instilled a renewed sense of hope, a tangible connection to the cyclical rhythms of nature, a belief in the promise of renewal, a silent triumph over the elements. The silence of the plains, though still profound, felt different now. It was no longer the oppressive stillness of menace, but the quiet expectation of a world slowly, tentatively reawakening. The landscape, pristine and untouched, seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the full embrace of the sun, preparing for the day's arduous demands. Its story, painted in every blush of the sky, spoke of enduring beauty. The first light on snow was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier knights forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious rosy dawn at a time. The scent of coffee and wood smoke. As the first pale light of dawn cast its tender blush across the snow-dusted plains, pushing back the long cold night, the cabin gradually stirred to life. Beyond the visual promise of a new day, another, more intimate, sensation brought profound comfort and a powerful affirmation of survival. The scent of coffee and wood smoke was a pervasive, cherished aroma, a smell that means life. Warmth brewed from scarcity, transforming humble preparations into a daily ritual of endurance, a fragrant beacon of hope, and a silent testament to the unwavering spirit of frontier resilience. Imagine the air inside the cabin, thick with the pungent aroma of pine logs, stale wood smoke, and the subtle tang of human presence, now permeated by the rich, invigorating scent of freshly brewed coffee. The sounds were no longer the distant howl of coyotes. They included the soft crackle of a thriving stove, the low murmur of sleepy voices, and the contented gurgle of a coffee pot simmering. Worn wool blankets by a smoky hearth, gently illuminated by the stove's red glow, absorbed the comforting aroma, infusing the entire space with the essence of survival. After the arduous task of rekindling the stove's fire and coaxing a robust blaze, the first priority of the morning was often coffee. Ground beans, painstakingly acquired through arduous trade or meticulous conservation, were brewed in a sturdy tin pot over the roaring heat. This was not merely a drink, it was a ritual, a crucial part of awakening, a source of vital internal warmth and a powerful psychological stimulant for bodies weary from the cold, the constant vigil, and the lingering aches of the night. Listen to the soft crackle of the thriving stove, its flames now dancing vigorously, pushing back the pervasive chill. Hear the contented gurgle of the coffee pot as it slowly simmered, its brewing aroma filling the cabin, mingling with the fresh wood smoke. See the steam rising from a rough-hewn mug, its contents dark and rich, being passed from hand to hand, its warmth emanating a profound sense of comfort to numb fingers. The invigorating aroma seemed to sharpen the senses, chasing away the last vestiges of sleep. A smell that means life. Warmth brewed from scarcity. The rich, invigorating aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the pervasive scent of wood smoke from the roaring stove was a powerful olfactory signal. It was the smell of life itself, a tangible affirmation that the night had been survived, that warmth had been secured, that sustenance was at hand. This fragrant blend, deeply ingrained in the memory of frontier settlers, became synonymous with the profound relief of morning, a daily triumph over adversity. Warmth brewed from scarcity. Coffee, like fuel, was often a scarce commodity, acquired through arduous trade or careful conservation. Its consumption was therefore a deliberate act, a conscious ritual of fueling the body's furnace, providing essential internal warmth against the lingering cold. It chased away the last vestiges of sleep, sharpened the mind, and prepared the body for another day of relentless toil. The psychological impact was immense. This comforting aroma, this daily ritual, provided a crucial anchor against despair. It fostered morale, offered a tangible sense of normalcy in a world of profound uncertainty, and reminded them of their shared endurance. It was a small, precious luxury, a profound act of care, in a world that offered few such indulgences, a testament to quiet fortitude. Its story, a fragrant whisper in the waking cabin, spoke of resilience. The scent of coffee and wood smoke was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier knights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one fragrant, life-affirming breath at a time. The frozen tracks, as the pale blush of dawn cast its tender light across the snow-dusted plains, revealing a world slowly awakening from winter's lethal embrace. The evidence of past struggles and tenacious survival lay etched upon the frozen landscape. The frozen tracks were a haunting, pervasive reality. Bootprints from yesterday glisten, reminders of every small victory against the cold, transforming transient impressions into an enduring chronicle of human resilience, a poignant testament to the relentless individual acts of courage that built life on the frontier, a silent, unwritten history. Imagine the air, crisp and invigorating, thick with the subtle scent of ice, frozen earth, and the pervasive aroma of wood smoke mingled with the fresh, clean tang of new snow. The sounds within the cabin, the soft crackle of a rekindled stove, were muted, allowing the gentle murmur of sleepy voices to fill the space. Outside, the profound, almost eerie silence of the snow-covered plains underscored the visual evidence of human activity. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow now struggled against the burgeoning light of a new day, revealing intricate patterns in the snow. You would step out of the cabin into the profound stillness of the cold morning, your breath pluming white. The landscape, pristine and untouched by new snowfall overnight, would be a vast canvas of white stretching to the horizon. And etched into this canvas, leading away from your cabin towards the well, the woodpile, the distant outhouse, or the animal pens, would be the tracks. Listen to the soft crunch of your own boots on the fresh frozen snow, a solitary declaration against the vast quiet. Hear the rhythmic creak of wooden floors under cold boots as other family members begin their morning chores. See the intricate patterns of boot prints clearly visible in the pale, burgeoning light, their edges sharp and defined by the overnight freeze. Some tracks would be deep, heavy, where a burden was carried. Others lighter, where a child had scurried. Boot prints from yesterday glisten, reminders of every small victory against the cold. These were not just footprints, they were tangible records of the previous day's struggle. The deep impressions where heavy loads of firewood had been dragged, the careful steps leading to the frozen water barrel, axe marks still visible around the shattered ice, the long winding path to the distant trap lines, or the tracks of a desperate hunt. Each print, each indentation spoke of immense effort, of battles fought against the elements, of tasks accomplished against overwhelming odds. The glistening frost that coated their edges transformed them into intricate, sparkling monuments, catching the pale morning light. They were silent, yet eloquent, reminders of every small victory against the cold, every chore completed, every meal secured, every moment of endurance. They proved that despite the overwhelming power of winter, humanity had persevered, had left its mark, however fleeting, on the unyielding land. The psychological impact was immense. To gaze upon these tracks was to witness a visual chronicle of your own resilience, your family's unwavering determination. It fostered a profound sense of accomplishment, a quiet pride in having defied the brutal odds. It was a tangible affirmation that life, however hard, however cold, continued its tenacious rhythm. Its story, carved in every frozen print, spoke of tenacious will. The frozen tracks were a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one silent, gleaming footprint at a time. The prairie awakens, as the first pale light of dawn cast its tender blush across the snow-dusted plains, pushing back the long, cold night. A profound transformation occurred, not just in the sky, but in the subtle stirrings of life around the cabin. The prairie awakens, not with a sudden burst of spring, but with a slow, hesitant re-emergence. Horses snort, dogs shake the frost from their coats, and light returns to the world, transforming the vast, silent landscape into a canvas of renewed promise, a symphony of reawakening that spoke of nature, its enduring cycles, and humanity's unwavering will to survive. Imagine the air, crisp and invigorating, thick with the subtle scent of thawing earth, new growth, and the pervasive aroma of wood smoke mingled with the fresh, clean tang of new snow. The sounds within the cabin, the soft crackle of a rekindled stove, were muted, giving way to the gentle murmur of sleepy voices to fill the space. Outside, the profound, almost eerie silence of the snow-covered plains underscored the visual evidence of nature's subtle stirrings. Lantern light on frosted windows, its uncertain glow, now struggled against the burgeoning light of a new day, revealing a world slowly, tentatively, coming back to life. For countless months, the vast open plains of the Wild West had lain silent, frozen, a desolate expanse under a sky of relentless grey. Life, if it stirred at all, did so cautiously, hidden deep within burrows or sheltered groves. But with the return of the sun's hesitant light and the slow, grudging retreat of winter's lethal grip, the prairie began its own subtle reawakening, a symphony of returning life. Listen to the deep, guttural snort of horses, perhaps from a nearby corral, their breath pluming white in the frigid air, their bodies shifting, eager for the first light. Hear the vigorous shake of dogs, their coats thick with frost and snow, shedding icy crystals as they stretched, their whimpers of cold replaced by a low, contented growl. See the first tentative chirping of a few hardy birds, their small voices a profound counterpoint to the long, deep silence, a welcome sound of life returning. Horses snort, dogs shake the frost from their coats, and light returns to the world. The sounds and movements of these animals were the first heralds of the prairie awakening. The horses, vital for work and travel, would begin to stir, their powerful forms now silhouetted against the pale dawn sky. The dogs, loyal companions through the cold nights, would shake off the last vestiges of sleep, their senses acutely tuned to the new day's promise, their tails wagging with renewed vigor. Light returns to the world. The subtle blush on the horizon would deepen, painting the vast, snow-dusted plains in hues of soft pinks, purples, and ethereal golds. The landscape, pristine and untouched by new snowfall, would slowly reveal its intricate contours, its hidden valleys, its distant ridges, transformed from a terrifying void into a canvas of fragile beauty, preparing for the day's arduous demands. The psychological impact was immense. This reawakening of the prairie was a profound antidote to the despair of the long night. It was a powerful affirmation that the cold, the darkness, the endless struggle might one day truly end. It instilled a renewed sense of hope, a tangible connection to the cyclical rhythms of nature, a belief in the promise of renewal, a silent triumph over the elements. Its story, sung in every returning sound, spoke of life's tenacious will. The Prairie Awakens was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one precious rosy dawn at a time. The quiet pride of survival. As the sun, a pale, hesitant disk, finally climbed above the eastern horizon, casting its tender light across the snow-dusted plains, another Wild West winter night had been endured. The prairie awakened, its subtle stirrings a testament to life's tenacious spirit. For the settlers, battered but unbroken, the true triumph was not a grand victory or a heroic deed, but something far more intimate and profound. The quiet pride of survival was an unshakable truth. To have made it through another winter's night was no small triumph, just another day in the history of endurance, a silent, humble declaration of unwavering human resilience, echoing through the vast, silent landscape of history. Imagine the air, crisp and invigorating, thick with the sweet scent of thawing earth, new growth, and the pervasive aroma of wood smoke, mingled with the low hum of ancestral stories. The sounds of the prairie, the snort of horses, the rustle of dogs shaking off frost, filled the morning. Pale daylight on frost-dusted fields carried the subtle weight of memory and the promise of continuity. The cabin, which had groaned under its burden of snow through the long night, now stood firm, its chimney emitting a steady plume of smoke. The stove, its coals roaring, filled the single room with precious warmth. The remnants of the night's provisions, a few sips of coffee, a piece of hard bread, were consumed in quiet gratitude, fuel for the demanding day ahead. Another night had been survived, its hardships weathered. Listen to the low murmur of tired voices discussing the day's first chores, their words infused with both weariness and a subtle, deep-seated satisfaction. Hear the cheerful shouts of children, playing in the muddy paths, their laughter, though full of life, tempered by an innate understanding of scarcity. See the faces of the settlers etched with the lines of relentless struggle, but now softened by the morning light, their eyes holding a quiet, unwavering resolve, a silent pride. To have made it through another winter's night was no small triumph, just another day in the history of endurance. There was no fanfare, no celebration, no grand pronouncements of victory. Only a quiet, internal affirmation of their tenacity, their resilience, their sheer, stubborn refusal to yield to the overwhelming forces of nature. Each sunrise was a hard-won battle, a testament to their unwavering spirit, a victory claimed in the stillness. This quiet pride was not born of arrogance, but of deep humility. It recognized the immense power of the wilderness, the constant threat of cold and hunger, the profound vulnerability of human life. But it also celebrated their ingenuity, their discipline, their capacity for collective warmth, their unwavering faith, and their unshakable will to survive. It was a strength forged in silence, maintained through relentless effort. The memory of the past night, with its cold, its darkness, its anxieties, lingered, a subtle undercurrent beneath the day's activities. But it was met by the knowledge that they had endured, that they had found a way to push through, to continue the relentless march of life, a legacy etched into their very being. Its story, a quiet whisper across the plains, spoke of unyielding human will. The quiet pride of survival was a profound reality of winter survival in the Wild West, a calm, immersive journey through frozen frontiers, charting the quiet endurance of frontier nights, forever tethered to the fierce, unyielding will to defy the cold, one hard-won sunrise at a time. This was not just a passing epoch, it was a defining chapter in the history of endurance, a profound secret of how ordinary people, against all odds, kept the flame of life burning in the vast, beautiful, and brutal Wild West.